Hello and welcome to Dead Letter Movie Chat, Episode 5, recorded June 15th, 2014. I'm Tim.
I'm Andrew.
And today we're going to talk about the new Disney film starring Angelina Jolie, Maleficent, also starring Charlton Copley and Elle Fanning. So, saw this movie, and I think I knew this going in. Somebody talked about this a while back, that somebody said to somebody else high up at Disney that, hey, Angelina Jolie really looks like our character from Sleeping Beauty, Maleficent. We should make a movie. And they said, great idea. Let's make a movie.
Movies have been made with less ideas. So,
and as flimsy pretext for making a movie goes, this is probably one of the better ones.
Yeah.
To be honest, yeah. I mean, it didn't take a whole lot of, it didn't look like a lot of makeup on Angelina Jolie to get her into the part, and talented actress. So that said, I was ultimately disappointed with how this movie turned out. Basically, it purports at the outset to take the fairy tale of Sleeping Beauty and sort of tell it from a different perspective, the perspective of the character of Maleficent. The trouble is, it doesn't really jibe in such a way that they can both be true. One of them must be false. It's not just a question of truth in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
It's they're straight up contradictions. These cannot both be so.
Yeah, it's funny how there's that Liberty Valance thing again about printing the legend and whatnot.
Yeah,
did not expect to think of that with a fairy tale movie, but whatever.
Callbacks.
Yeah.
So I felt like I enjoyed watching all the individual players in this movie for the most part. I thought the cast did a great job with the material they were given. I felt like the material was kind of thin. That as hard as the actors worked, they couldn't really elevate it to where the movie as a whole felt satisfying. I felt like it still fell victim to a lot of the same old fairy tale tropes. And yeah, even in a world where we've been exposed to things like say Shrek and Tangled and
even The Princess Bride. I mean,
that
like if we want to go far back,
take the fairy tale and turn it upside down and reverse expectations and play that for comedy and surprise and engaging the audience. That's great, but they didn't really actually do that here. This was basically still a fairy tale. They just sort of changed who was sitting where. I didn't get that reversal of expectation. Nothing in the movie really surprised me. The characters all, from one step to the next, I followed their actions. It's, okay, that character would do that. It's okay, this just happened. I bet the characters will do this, and then they do it.
Yeah.
So it felt pretty by the numbers as far as that went.
Yeah, I agree with you there. One of the things that you and I were talking about earlier is that the problem with the fact that the characters are so thin is that we're delivered these big ideas that the film apparently wants to deal with, but then they don't fully develop the idea. They don't buy into their own big ideas, it seems. And if they had, and that may be the thing that I don't really know what the chicken or the egg is in this case. I don't know if the thin characters keep the big ideas from happening, or like they just don't, follow through with their big ideas, and thus that makes the characters thin. And that, I think, was a big problem for both me and you when we were discussing it.
Yeah. I also felt like there was more to this movie that didn't make it onto the screen. I don't know how far it did make it. I mean, it might not have made it out of the writers' heads and onto the page. Or it might have been in the script but not filmed. It might have been filmed and then cut. Something happened to this movie along the way. there was a better movie than the one we actually got
Yes.
that got lost somewhere.
Yeah, it's which it seems kind of odd because Disney is really into making sure stuff works. This script had to go through dozens of rewrites and all this stuff, and like probably what is it, like, focus grouped and all that stuff. And so you have to wonder why they didn't just let them have let them go deeper than they were. I mean, like, there's a lot of context, but I mean, like, there's a lot of stuff that's going on in this movie. I mean, like, there's like a rape scene that you could see. I mean, it's not like an out rape scene. People.
No, it's
a metaphorical rape scene.
It's a pretty thinly veiled allegory, and that was a pretty heavy scene. I don't think we're spoiling anything here to say that Maleficent has wings and then loses them.
And then loses them. I mean, that's in the trailer.
The circumstances under which that happens are very, very emotional, very traumatic. And I think one of my biggest problems with the movie is that occurrence was the most emotionally engaging for me as a member of the audience. I didn't feel like the movie really connected with its audience any more than that at any point later in the movie. It was kind of downhill from there. I really wanted them to have more to say, really get me involved with the characters, keep me in the movie, keep me in the story. But by the time we get to the big climax at the end of the movie, it's I didn't feel like I had any real stake in it.
I almost wish that we had that reveal about her wings later in the film. I think it would have worked, because when that happens, we're with her from there on out. I mean, like, we aren't going to waver so much. I mean,
that's a good point. Like, if they'd
flashbacked or done something with editing,
and that doesn't always work, and sometimes that can really drag a movie down if you structure it that way. But I think some degree of that probably would have helped this. So now that you mentioned that, that's not actually something I had considered. So,
and there's also a feminism idea that's coming up. This is a very pro-women film, which I am actually very fond of, because I feel like we don't get that a lot, especially in fairy tale films. Disney has been doing a good job with this and Frozen, with having, there being really good female characters. This thing totally passes the Bechdel test. If you don't know what that is, go Google it. And like everything popular fails it usually. So anyway, but go Google it. And so that was really nice, really good to see. But as we said, the characters are still kind of thin. They're really good female characters. However, they do a good job of doing this one thing that a lot of screenwriters and directors seem to think equals solid female character, is physical badassery. Like, I don't, what the Scarlett Johansson in the Avengers movies.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she's gotten better as the films have progressed, but, her being really good at punching someone does not make a great female character. It just means she's someone who can punch someone really well. And that doesn't so much happen here. The Maleficent is a very, very multidimensional, very, very well-made female character. When it comes to the thinness of characters, she is our thickest one. if I could say that, and but the problem is the other female counterparts aren't really that fabulous.
Well, right, like the princess in this movie is still the textbook fairy tale princess,
which is really sad,
naive and innocent and pure of heart and all that. Mm-hmm. So that's the same old trope, and I'm.
And it doesn't make sense in the feministic concepts that they're kind of to play.
It doesn't really fit with the context of the rest of the movie. And I mean, the movie is called Maleficent. It's about that character, so you don't want to play the others up too much. But here, I felt like they didn't play most of the other characters at all. They were broad stereotypes.
Yeah.
Cardboard cutouts for the most part.
And Disney has done better.
Boy, have they.
Have they done better. And it's really weird, because this is a thing that they have basically built up themselves. I mean, this is their own property that they're messing with. So they can mess with it as much as they want, and they don't seem to go there. And that's one of the things that makes it really disappointing. Yeah, so I think that's like the big issue at the heart of this film, is that it presents this ability to go somewhere and then doesn't go. It doesn't use the tools that it gives itself. They're just like hanging there throughout the movie. And also, like, the villain, the ultimate villain at the end of the film, is really lame.
Yeah, he really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
I you know,
Because that's the thing.
yeah, and that was like I said, you know, the big emotional impact, big action scene, and you know, all this, you know, the heroes and everything coming together and in one you know, big, you know, hopefully epic conclusion, and I just didn't feel it.
Just didn't care.
No.
I mean, like, you're like, of course that's what happens.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay. Yeah. Yep. There's some guys with swords and some magical creatures doing some magical things, and a dragon, I guess.
yes.
I mean, I have never been so nonplussed about a dragon in a movie.
This is, well, this I can't. Okay, so witchcraft in films is a weird thing, or sorcery or magic in general is kind of an issue. Now, I remember thinking, why are all the spells in Harry Potter in Latin? What does it really matter? Why do we do this? And then in this film, she literally says what she wants in English.
Yeah.
She says, into a man, into a dragon. And I'm like, wow, that is really lame. Latin really does work. Like, so.
It as
And-
stupid as it sounds,
Yeah.
it lends it some gravitas, whether it's actually earned it or not.
I know.
So I don't know.
There's a little thing I learned watching
Yeah.
this movie.
Yeah.
A little writing thing, I guess. Oh, well. I guess ultimately with okay, so Angelina Jolie carries the film pretty well. It's a shame she doesn't have a better script. That's really what it comes down to.
Right. I mean, Angelina Jolie and the rest of the cast, really, pretty much everybody turned in some great performances.
Yeah, no one half-asses anything.
No. I mean, Elle Fanning as the textbook fairy tale princess
Yeah.
was still pretty good at that.
And that's pretty disappointing, the fact that she doesn't get a better role, because
it is.
Because seeing her work in like Super 8, you realize that she can actually, act and do stuff.
Yeah, and
it's kind of lame to see her with this.
And her
textbook
character in this movie is important to the other characters for
Very
lots of
much.
different reasons,
Yeah,
but they don't really give her much to do. It's important that she's there, but she's almost a MacGuffin,
almost. Which is
except that
kinda-
she's always there,
Yeah.
which is kind of weird. Charlton Copley is always fun to watch. He was really fun to watch in this. Yeah, his accent was a little uneven.
It wavers
His-
from time
his,
to time.
His native accent is already pretty thick,
Yeah,
and it comes through in some points, and it's a bit different from what I think he was trying to put on. So okay, some minor technical things there, but in terms of selling the motivations of his character and those actions, I thought he did fine. I just didn't care enough about the character. There wasn't enough for them to really do there. Yeah, chewing on the scenery, and he was great, and I was entertained briefly, but I didn't really care about what he was doing.
right. It's really lame that one of the better drawn out characters in the film is a man crow, and he's not even that great.
No, he's really not.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a lot of lines really, and
And yet he somehow conveys more depth than the other male lead in the film.
yeah. You get a sense that there's a little bit of depth to his character, which is weird because at every point in the movie he's still a crow, which
Yep.
are fairly intelligent as birds go, but he's still a bird.
What?
So yeah.
So,
And
I
then
guess-
there's the other half, a male character that comes in near the end of the movie.
Yeah, you could probably figure out who we're talking about having not seen the film, but whatever. It's not worth going into. Um,
And for that matter, for my money, neither is the movie.
yeah.
For all the great performances in this movie, and the great visual design and effects work, this gets a C from me. Honestly, I didn't hate the movie, but the performances just couldn't save it from itself.
Indeed.
So I'm going to give this movie a solid C. Honestly, I've felt worse about it at varying points since having watched it.
Yeah.
But I think the C is fair.
Mm-hmm. When I got out of the theater, I thought that's kind of a C plus B minus movie. But the problem is, the more I sat around and thought about it, the more disappointed I got with it. So I'm almost at like the C. Like right now, it's probably at like a C, but probably 2 days from now, it's going to be a C minus. It's not a D plus film in any way. It's well made. People do a pretty good job. It is one of those cases where we have this great idea and then we don't follow through, which to me is the ultimate C kind of thing. I don't know if I'm backwards or not. So C, whatever. It is that one. This one. Okay.
That one.
Yeah. So that is, I think that's the fairest grade I can give it. I don't know. I will say this. My hope is within about a year or two, if there's deleted scenes on the DVD, that there will be some really good film students making fan edits of it that will be better.
I'm curious. Like I said, I felt like there was a better movie that we just didn't quite get. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how much of it is, floating around in Disney's archives at all at this point.
Yeah. I guess here I'm going to give an idea of how to rate things for a moment. Beyond our grade thing, here's so it's a great movie you go to see in the cinema because it's a great movie you should go see in the cinema. Then there's a not so great movie that you rent, and that's good. And that's not good. And then there's the wait for it's on cable or see if it's streaming somewhere so you don't have to give it that much more money. This is kind of in that wait till it's on cable kind of thing. If you want to go
basic
see
cable, folks, don't
basic cable, folks.
Don't if it's on HBO or what have you, don't bother.
So basically, we're telling you don't need to see this movie for 3 years.
Yeah, the commercial breaks are not going to hurt this movie in the least.
Yeah.
It's
which is, I don't know. That just tells you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's the end of this week's, or, well, not necessarily weeks, but this particular episode.
However often we're doing these.
Yeah.
The next one should be a little sooner.
Yes. We already have the next film figured out, but we'll keep it a secret for now because that's more fun. So.
Stay tuned. Hide and watch.
Yeah.
All right. So, this has been episode 5, Maleficent, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
See you guys. Bye.